All right, audio is on. Video appears not to be working. Let's see what's wrong. Please stand by. All right, that was a smooth transition. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me. Good morning, my name is Christian Frank, and this is Tech Talk Live. Thank you so much for joining in. All levels are hitting in the green. Everything seems to be recording, and it seems to be working. Let's wait a few minutes for others to join in. And make sure that all the cylinders are hitting correctly. All right, let's see. The mic is working awesome. These levels are hitting right on the sweet spot. Let's see. Mic check. 1, 2. Here we go. Yeah, sweet. Sharing screen in a few minutes. Excellent. I'm well centered. This is our first try working with OBS on a live stream on this new channel. And there will be no multicasting. The link will be shared, like always, to subscribers. Stream latency, excellent. Sent out a message to everyone on the chat. I see, let's see, my output is only on the left channel. Let me change the audio on this. Let's see if this worked. Excellent. Now we are on stereo. Excellent. Let's see. Share the link. Everyone should have a link. Remember to say hi on the chat. And if you hear any background noise, it's pressure washer day apparently in the community, so there's that. But thankfully, good microphone does everything, all the work for me. Okey-doke. Remember, we are building a community on Discord. I'll be sharing the Discord link on the description. Feel free to join in. My current posture on Facebook is that it is it's not a good solid platform for community building. It is more polarizing, and Facebook focuses attention more on advertising, whereas in Discord we can keep the conversation on point. So again, Discord might be new for you, but it is an excellent tool to communicate without all the backscatter that polarization through social media can produce. This is a brand spanking new YouTube channel, so we are trying this for the first time. The first few interactions might be a little clunky, but past performance doesn't dictate future results. Sweet. Hey Brenda, down in the chat. You can notice the lack of overlays or any sort of graphics, no transitions or any background music. I'm currently working on that for a full interactive experience. A replay of this live stream will be sent to subscribers of our newsletter in abridged format for content. Also, we separate the sweet little bits from the live and redistribute them, or at least our tech elves do. Let me share the link on social media so everyone is. Remember to drop questions down in the chat. Be happy to answer any questions. Also, if you are watching us, if you are connecting with us through Discord, let me share the link for the Discord community. All right. There goes the link for the Discord server. Immediate access is available on Discord. Okie dokie, 10 minutes in. Let's see if the share screen function works well. Everyone should see my desktop. And the first one, let me go for the intros. That worked. Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Frank. I am the founder. I'm an immigration attorney and the founder of Virtualaw. Virtualaw is a tech automation, legal tech automation consultancy firm, and we developed no coding, and simple to use workflow and automations for law firms. I've been an immigration attorney since 2007. That's 17 years now. I was an IT tech before that, and I was Puerto Rico's first cable modem tech, back when dinosaurs roamed the interwebs. So based on my experience and the fact that I built all the standard administrative procedures of my firm for them to work on an automated fashion, I like to share how I did it with other practitioners, other attorneys, and I'm sharing and making this message public because I like sharing information, and that's how you build better systems, through collaboration. This live stream, this channel, and sharing all the info I've gathered over the last few years automating my firm can enable a single or solo practitioner or someone who's building a law firm to practice both remotely, virtually, and manage an easier workflow with a bigger caseload. That's the whole point, being more efficient. So based on those parapets of efficiency, every action in my law firm that was carried out more than once, I tried to automate it as best I could, built on prior experiences as a litigator mostly, because I like taking people to court, although oftentimes what I do now is take the government to court and make sure that the government, who makes the rules, also plays by those same rules that they make. That's what I do. I poke the U.S. bear. Immigration and civil rights as well. For example, one of the cases I handle most is filing for mandamus, which is an action to compel the government to take an action which they're supposed to. In other words, we get the ball rolling through the rep tape. And based on that, frequent client interactions and keeping everyone both on the team, that was an in-house team at the time when I had a brick and mortar firm, and now that I am fully virtual and practicing remotely from Costa Rica, relocated internationally out of the U.S. to deal with the U.S., funnily enough, from outside the U.S. It was a long way getting here, and I'll share the details on that. But for now, let's just stick to tradecraft. Remember to leave questions on the chat. I am stress testing this live stream. OBS is running with all sorts of plugins. And if it doesn't blow up or my computer catches fire, then it didn't work. Also, I have many Chrome tabs open, and I am maxing out all of the available bandwidth of my fiber optic connection, which is all to myself. I am a bandwidth hog, but I don't like energy expenditure. One of the energies I like expending the least is my own, and time, effort divided by time is my measure of efficiency. That's how the my law firm cookie crumble works. Let's see. Viewers down here, feel free to say hello. This is more akin of a radio broadcast, although it's been years since you spent a full Friday afternoon or evening listening to a radio broadcast. Brenda says no screen share. I'm not sharing any screens. This is simply an introduction for anyone who joins in the channel. Because this is the first one, this is our inaugural live stream. This will be a weekly event. Court permitting, and everything should work nicely. The extras, the creative add-ons such as transitions, overlays, animations, and embedded videos, and blue screens and green screens will come as the channel matures through this initial period of infancy and then probable adolescence. Feel free to share the good news about law firm automation with other law firm practitioners, and for all non-legal folk, this is a great opportunity to see the inner workings of what makes the sausage delicious. All right, 15 minutes in. That was a 5-minute intro. Everything's working awesome. I want to share, first of all, I wanted to share that the American Bar Association has published an opinion on artificial intelligence assistance, especially generative AI, and their use in legal practice. Several jurisdictions around the United States have already issued ethics or practice opinions regarding the new generative AI tools that are being offered. Most notable of all is ChatGPT. And because the frank social rule of negative information propagation states that bad news or disinformation travels at the cube of real facts, faster, right, propagates at 3 times the order of magnitude of real facts, which means that legal malpractice by ChatGPT, by attorneys who have used ChatGPT or generative AI tools, malpractice has done the rounds, the media rounds, much faster than all the thousands or possibly tens or hundreds of thousands of attorneys who are currently using these generative AI tools, such as myself. One of the benefits of these tools is that it allows me to magnify. It is a lever. Generative AI tools, such as OpenAI's API, which allows me back of office access to this information, allows me to practice at a level as a force multiplier. But remember that artificial intelligence is only as useful as the natural intelligence that is provided to it. That means that I came upon these tools with 17 years worth of legal practice. That is 17 years worth of evidence discovery, document production, contract analysis, litigation analysis, and thousands upon thousands of client interactions. And because I am a good note taker, I gathered all the data, all the metrics, and all the KPIs, which then I used to ChatGPT and other tools to analyze the metrics on it and replicate patterns. Much like I would train an assistant, a virtual assistant, in-house assistant, or a secretary back in the olden days, I would give instructions on my standard operating procedures. This is a template of how I want a letter written. This template requires these portions, right? These parts. And I also went to school for that, and some of the classes that I took entailed drafting motions, and these were workshops. Legal drafting workshops, and I took several of them, and almost every other practitioner that went to school at the same time also did. That means that we have standard templates for all these writings, which now we can use AI to analyze recurring patterns. So I applied all those marketable skills I gathered after 15 years back then of litigation and suing everyone, plaintiff, defendant, and government alike, state, local, municipal, you name it. I've taken to court pretty much everyone that's come across my office in one way or another. And then I relaxed by filing government forms for immigration. That was my period of relaxation. But back in the fray, let me check the messages. So based on that prior experience and the skills I had gathered already, I developed new automations such as the ones I'm going to share now, and I will share in a few minutes, but I wanted to revert. Based on that background of development, several states have noted that it would be a good idea to issue an opinion. So our colleague and immigration superstar, Greg Siskind, who collaborates extensively with the American Immigration Lawyers Association, published a collaborative effort, and that's what I am trying to share now, which is a chart of states' ethics rules. This is simply a compilation of which states have said something about it. And truth be told, I am licensed to practice at a state level in Puerto Rico and at a federal court level in Colorado, Nebraska, New Mexico, and Southern District of Texas. Notice how I pointed them out in my mental US map. So I have to read all of these, and my clients sometimes are from all states, any state, so I have to abide by the rules of where I'm licensed to practice and the rules of where I deliver services. And it's a good idea to comply with all the rules if possible, because as attorneys, we have to live and practice by example. Where is the desktop? Here we go. All right. Let me know in the chat if you can see the wonderful Google Doc desktop. And let us zoom into this. So I will run through quickly. This is emerging technology and emerging ethical requirements. So this is brand spanking new. Pretty much no one knows exactly how everything's supposed to work right now, but we are definitely working on it, and figuring stuff out is one of the cool things about practicing law. Figuring out what's supposed to happen and how everything's supposed to work. So the first one is a legal guild, which is the American Bar Association. It's the largest organization of attorneys in the US. And this opinion is from July 29th, which is just a couple of weeks ago. And I'll share the link to both this list and relevant links in the both in the chat and in the description. Speaking of the chat, here comes the little window. Sorry about that. All right, Brenda says she can't see the screen. So let's see. Display capture. Here we go. Transitioning over. Oh my God, that was smooth as butter. All right. This is, at one point, I was a cable modem tech, like I mentioned before, and they had all the equipment of a TV station. But this was the late 90s, early 2000s, so all the buttons that I wanted to push, I couldn't push because this was live and monitored by the FCC. But also, my brother worked at a radio station in the 80s and working graveyard shift, so I would record the program when he was live, and I always wanted to work in radio. So this is as close to as any normal person such as myself will ever get to broadcasting live. Let's go back to that. Okay, so this is the crowdsourced ethics, AI ethics regulatory chat compiled by Greg Siskind, immigration attorney superstar, and I am a fan of his, so big shout out. I've been following his work for a good 10, 15 years now, easy. So first we start off with the American Bar Association. I hope you're familiar with it, because if you're an attorney and you don't know what the ABA is, you should find out. This is the standard operating procedure organization in the United States, which attempts to normalize requirements and standards of practice of all attorneys in the United States. This opinion, dated July 29th, is brand spanking new, and In essence, it states that attorneys can use these tools but are ethically liable for any malpractice, such as any other technological tool, like email or digital document attachments or PDFs, because none of those used to be evidence and they are now. So that's one of the things this attempts to solve, which is what the current state of affairs is and how it should proceed henceforth. At the top of the list, obviously, California. California is a regulatorily intensive state. They like to state how the things are supposed to work. I suspect that this is because California's legal history hails back to the 16th century when the Spaniards arrived, and the Spaniards loved bureaucracy because every empire is built upon forms and permits. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy should have made that clear, but if you have not read it, please do. It's one of those great texts right up there with Aristotle and the Bible. California issued on November 16th, so this was a good 6-7 months before the American Bar Association. Their practical guidance for the use of generative artificial intelligence in the practice of law. As you can tell, a bunch of other states and jurisdictions have issued their own opinions as well. If you are licensed in any of these, be sure to check these out. If you are licensed in any state that is not mentioned here, then I would love you to reach out either to Greg or to myself so we can add it to the list. Let's see if this transition works and everyone should see me again. That would be wonderful. I am checking the monitor and everything seems to be working. Everything's in the green except for the noise outside. I hope all the noise canceling plugins are working. Next on the list of stuff I wanted to share today. Okay. So someone this week on one of the multiple online forums that I participate in asked how to automate the entry of a date. Let me explain the situation first. So an attorney asked, they wanted a template letter that calculated 2 dates. One was the date the letter was being sent, which was current date, and then another date, which is 14 days from the date of that letter. And after a little wrangling on Clio Manage and some back and forth on that macro template, I thought to myself, I've solved this issue in the past, particularly for past due letters. So if the invoice is past due and there's a final collection deadline in 2 weeks, what we do is we use Text Expander. Text Expander is a small application which can be run at a computer level or at mobile level. It is an app that you install, and it lets you create keyboard substitution snippets, which are small clips of text which then expand into a larger text. The iOS users and Mac OS users should be familiar with the keyboard option. Keyboard replacement, I think that's what it's called. There's a keyboard setting where you can set this up. But the cool part with Text Expander is that it allows me to integrate additional tools such as calendaring, in other words, date calculations. And I want to show everyone the automation that would take care of this letter drafting process really easily. So everyone should see this screen. Let's open up Text Expander. This is Text Expander. It is an app for keyboard replacement. It happily runs right over here, right? But I keep recent snippets or frequently used snippets, like for example, the name of the law firm, right? Which is USA, one of my law firms, which is USA Defend. If you write /US USAD, it expands to USA Defend Law Firm. But if you complicate matters a little more, you can create pre-canned emailed messages and insert the content of the clipboard. I have these in English, in Spanish, and for different purposes, right? So you can have pre-canned, and each of pre-canned messages, and all of them have a text. But if you like something even cooler, you can make letters with these. So you can add clauses to letters. You can create service descriptions. But you can also draft a full-on letter where you add the date, the clipboard. In this case, usually the copy is the client's full name and address, and it will ask you or prompt you for the information, and it will give you some conditional. You can specify conditions whether or not to add optional snippets to the letter. So to see this in action, let's draft a past due collection letter. So let's start with the postal address, right? Let's suppose I'm sending a letter to my own firm. I would go to the client's information on the CRM, copy the client's full contact info. That goes into the clipboard, Command X, and then /past due LTR. Once I hit the R, it's going to expand and ask me for the info. And it's asking me, see, this is today's date, the contents of the clipboard, and it's prompting me for the name. Here, USA Defend, right? I am writing to you to mention the attention, and then here goes the amount. They owe us $1,000. And the deadline to pay is 14 days from today's date, which is now Friday, August 30th. 2 weeks. So we are giving this client 2 weeks notice, and what happens if they don't pay. And that's that. We have today's date, the address letter, the subject line, the information we put in, and this can be configured to be a clipboard content, right? So you can repeat this information for a single client if the address stays the same, or you can prompt for this additional information. And all this can be customized to create documents, such as letters, or let's go for let's copy this again, delete everything, and let's go for a disengagement letter. Right? Today's date, copy pasted address, disengagement letter on today's date. But here, there's a condition where you can choose whether to disengage services from USCIS or Immigration Court. This allows the user to choose conditional information on the fly while drafting this template. You can also add additional clauses if there's a term for appeal, if the matter was concluded. And there are placeholders here, which aren't specified because the next court date depends on the particular client. And let's paste this. And this is the entire text of the letter. Now, why I believe this is a better solution than traditional law practice management or document drafting software, because Text Expander can be installed in any computer, no matter the operating system, in any mobile platform, Android, iOS, and it lets you draft online on any cloud service such as Microsoft Teams or Google, what's it called now? Google Desktop. I think it's Google Desktop. Or it lets you create those documents in a blank template. And finally, all your snippets are synced through the cloud through Text Expander. That allows me to carry with me the entire library of all automated legal drafts and letters and communications. And if I change platforms, they're still there. It is still a document generation with intelligent information. It's an intelligent copy-paste, and that makes me very happy because it is not platform or OS dependent. It is as useful as a Swiss Army knife. So let me check the chat for questions. I hope everything is working. I'll be sharing a replay of this, abridged, hopefully, for content. Okay. All right. Everything seems to work and cool. Let's go back to work. A little coffee before that. It is still before noon, so it's coffee before noon and beer afternoon. It is Friday, and I do enjoy libations, such as a nice and solid resiny pale ale or IPA. I am a craft beer brewer and home brewer. Oh, nothing makes me happier than piney hops. Something dank. All right. Let's go back to the desktop. Okay, so here is another tool I wanted to discuss. Let me zap here. Canvas. Zapier Canvas is a visual diagram tool, which is awesome to creatively organize standard operating procedures, and then substituting them with no coding application solutions, right? And working for a client who asked me to automate her law firm, I came upon this tool because before that, it was me pasting index cards back and forth and then drawing little lines on a bulletin board. But the cool thing about this is that you can start with a textual description that is AI assisted, or you can start from a template. You can also save templates or start from scratch. Let's start with AI. What do I want to do? I need help creating a sales lead funnel for my law firm using Gravity Forms, Calendly, and LawPay. Those are the three tools I have in my law firm. Let's create the system. Make the screen bigger. Insert elevator music here. So now we have a sales funnel with the suggestions the AI has prepared it. So trigger outbound email when block is created, and this is where it starts. User fills out a form, and it has an interface here for payment processing. These interfaces are Zapier tools, but they can be substituted, right? A little web form, and Zapier will let you create these. But these can be changed. These tools can be changed. And it will offer you, right, the opportunity to change these around. And you fill out, Zapier has its own forms. You fill out the form or connect the form to this interface, which then stores the information on a central database, which is called a table in Zapier. Or in our case, it's a Google Sheet. And then you have the appointment scheduling, which is a fork in the road that allows you to conduce the client's experience onto a scheduler, which in this case could be Calendly, but in the case of my law firm, it's You Can Book Me, because I like You Can Book Me. Even cooler is these can be substituted. You can choose a Zap, a table, an interface, or a chatbot. Let's choose a Zap. See where I'm dragging it, right? Should be conducive, sorry. That's it. Gravity Forms, automate task creation, Gravity Forms to Google Doc. These are pre-created Zaps that can be added, or we can add a particular app and then specify what it does after that. After that, you can split the path and then specify, send an intro email or book a meeting. Then you can change visually how to organize these and provide an overall example of how you want each step in your workflow to proceed, and then try alternatives to this and build your own automation system. So based on this, I can build visual standard operating procedures for client interactions, for case management, for evidence discovery processes, for document production. If you're on the other side of discovery, you can add workflows to pretty much everything in a law firm, but the end result should be to create automations such as these, which allow us to create a cascade of processes such as this one. Okay. The end result is a Zapier Zap, where there's one trigger whenever a client completes an online form, such as a contact form, then it will create an entry in a Google Sheet and then analyze the information through ChatGPT. And if there's an attachment, upload a file. Send a message to the team members and create a note in Practice Panther, which is a legal practice management software. So, but even cooler than that, upon onboarding, this is a client intake form, one of our processes for intakes. This is how we handle leads. A potential new client fills out a Gravity form on our website. It verifies if the client exists in Practice Panther, which is our client CRM. And if it doesn't, it will create a contact. That contact remains there for sending an engagement letter or a fee agreement and then a subsequent invoice. And after that, because we are on Google Desktop, it creates a contact on Google Desktop and creates a task for a team member to carry out, usually to cross-check if the client has, if all the messages have been received, if any email has bounced, or if the text message was replied to. After that, a contact is created on LawPay, which allows us to invoice directly or create a subscription link for ongoing subscriptions, because we have subscriptions for corporate clients, a small business, or that require upkeep, so they're on a subscription basis, which allows us to work on the company's behalf with the company to prevent litigation and due diligence. But it also allows companies to choose which service level they need and tailor their requirements to that. It adds one contact on our sales leads CRM, which is Clio Grow, and it creates a contact on Pipefile, which turns into a document request eventually. It sends a tracked email to make sure that the lead's message was received by the potential new client, and it creates a new notebook on Evernote to where all the client's case notes are going to be collected. What used to be a trial notebook is now an Evernote notebook, and all the notes are exported and archived long term. So based on that Pipefile document request, once the request is created, it will look for the contact on Practice Panther and create a note that the document request was sent on that date. So if the client says that the client requires a document, then you have proof that the document request was sent out. And finally, if the document request expires, then it makes a note in the system that the document request expired, and one team member follows up on it, because most document requests have deadlines, and those deadlines can get people into trouble, and we try to stay away from trouble. So if the client responds to a file request, then the same information is logged on our CRM. Let me see if there are any questions. And based on that, everything gets done with minimal human interaction on the back end. This is another cool audit trail. Whenever someone creates a new note on Evernote, and it will check the information on the note and then create a note on Practice Panther and send Slack ping for all team members. And for those of you worried about confidential client info, OpenAI's API, which is the backdoor interface to most programs that we use for this, including Zapier. First of all, the client identifiers, which are specified as name, address, date of birth, and social security number. That client information is usually sanitized on documents or redacted. Redacted means that either a human writes over it, or we exclude it by drawing an undeletable black line over the documents. All documents filed in federal U.S. District Court are part of the public record. That means that all identifiable information has to be removed from these documents before uploading to these to the court's online docket website. Based on that, we've already sanitized these documents once they come into our hands, and this information is kept separate on our CRM, not on the actual documents ourselves. Because some of these documents are transmitted over unsecured email messages, which we don't know who is receiving them absolutely, or if a client's email has been hacked or rerouted, then the identifying information is not transmitted through unencrypted methods. So we are sure to sanitize those documents because it's our standard operating procedure in federal U.S. District Court. And that's how I've been admitted to U.S. District Court since I first began practicing federal law in 2012. So it's been 12 years now of having that procedure to make sure that if the PDF attachment is lost along the way, then the real sensitive information is kept private. Also, most documents that have entire client files are sent out encrypted and password protected. That's another standard operating procedure for my law firm. Okie doke. All right, so let's see. Any other questions? No questions on the chat again. It's been an hour of broadcasting, and let's go for the station ID. Thank you very much. My name is Christian for being here. My name is Christian Frank. I am an immigration attorney who loves to automate law firms for other attorneys. My company is called Virtualaw. Feel free to reach out if you need help automating repeated tasks in your law firm. That allows me to work remotely. I travel the world, and I'm currently in Costa Rica, living here permanently, and traveling ever so often to Colorado, which is one of the main jurisdictions I practice most. Out of Lakewood, Colorado, that's where the office is. So big old shout out to Colorado peeps. And anyone from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Western Puerto Rico, and I was licensed to practice and practiced in Puerto Rico until 2015. And I have started practicing remotely in Puerto Rico again for commercial law and immigration as well, bankruptcy in Puerto Rico. And I have a lot of friends who are licensed to practice in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, like many other jurisdictions, is keeping a close eye on AI, but they have not issued a formal opinion, although the government employees have received some measure of training. Hopefully, the government will use AI for good, which is a little worrisome because the government, I wouldn't say, I poke the bear. So the U.S. government and Puerto Rican government does some things very well, but I only focus on the things they don't do well. That's why that's the main focus of my practice, keeping the government within the coloring within the lines of the coloring book. All right, no more questions. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We'll be here next Friday. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Again, I'm Christian Frank. This has been awesome. Big ol' shout out to all my my Facebook Lawyer on the Beach peeps. It should be around there. I'll be sharing all these tips on that Facebook group too. Don't expect much participation on Facebook. I have a bone to pick with Facebook. So all of our community efforts and all the link sharing, all the resources will be posted on on our Discord server. Virtualaw has a Discord server, so I'll be sharing the link in the description and in the chat. I did share it on the chat, so sweet. Again, thanks everyone. Peace out. Have a wonderful weekend. Controls.